Mitchell Robinson, he signed a large 4-year deal this offseason to be the starting center for the New York Knicks. I think in the first season, it's going to be making right around $17 million a season in a descending contract. So I wanted to pull up some other players and see how Mitchell Robinson matched up in his first 4 years in the NBA, and also what we could expect from him in year 5. So Foxy, I'm going to put on screen one of the guys that gets compared to Mitchell Robinson a lot, and that's going to be Rudy Gobert. So Foxy, you can see in year 5, these are the projections for Mitchell Robinson. But if you compare it to Rudy Gobert in year 5, I don't think there's that much of a drop off. So what are you seeing from Mitchell Robinson throughout the first 4 years of his career? And do you think in year 5 you can see him put up a similar stat line from what we saw in Rudy Gobert? And there's also a lot of parallels too. You look at where Mitchell Robinson was drafted, 2nd-round pick, 6th pick in that round, and where Rudy Gobert was drafted a late first-round pick. It's not too far off. So what are some of the things you're going to be looking for from Mitchell Robinson this season, and any comparisons you link to Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, again, you touched on it earlier. I want to see stamina. That I want to see Mitch be able to, play more than 25 minutes like he did last year. We talked about last stream where he came in a little bulked up and had to lose weight during the season to get back some of that bounce and some of that mobility at the perimeter. So, I really am happy. You look around the league, he's a valuable guy, Mitch. So we're coming to the point, though, in this 5th season that this is, from a development standpoint, maybe who we got. We may not ever see any offensive game out of him other than putbacks. But I think, he played really without a point guard. And RJ was the only one feeding him. So I think that between Jalen Brunson and RJ, and hopefully, like we just talked about, good team, that he'll get a lot more opportunities. We know he's an elite offensive rebounder. But, with Jalen getting to the hole, RJ getting to the hole and dumping off for Lob City. So I could see him absolutely hitting not only Gobert's numbers, in his 4th or 5th season, but, doing better than that. So, we extrapolated, the Basketball Reference, their data analytics team projected per 36. So thank God I took algebra. So I extrapolated for different players that you'll see tonight So for 30 minutes, his numbers are there. And the big thing that we've talked about last week, and the big difference this year, folks, is going to be, if we're going to do anything, it's going to come to foul shooting across so many different players. And, one of the key facts is that last season we were 26th in the league in foul total percentage with 74.4%. When the Knicks made the playoffs 2 seasons ago, we were 14th in the league in foul total percentage at 78.4%. That's the difference between winning and losing games. So you can see that just Gobert in his 5th season shooting 68%, and they're projecting 52%. So we saw him taking some shots, and we kidded around that he was just doing it rapid fire. He wasn't, setting himself. But if Mitch and the rest of this team can shoot foul shots, we'll be a much better team, have a much better record. We can't be, have a record of be 26 in the league again, foul total, and expect us to be a better team than we were last year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Foxy. I think Jalen Brunson is going to be a major addition for Mitchell Robinson. And not only as Mitchell Robinson when he starts to roll to the basket, but also we saw some footage of Mitchell Robinson working on a mid-range jump shot, and he got to that spot on the court after faking a dribble handoff. So I think the attention that Jalen Brunson is going to attract, I think is going to help Mitchell Robinson not only as a roller, but also trying to get to that spot on the court if he's able to get the green light to start shooting some mid-range jump shots. And I think that's going to be very important for Mitchell Robinson to see those 30 minutes per game out there, because we know that we brought in iHeart, and he's a guy that's going to stretch the floor a lot better than Mitchell Robinson. So to see Mitchell Robinson in the offseason start to work on a jump shot, I think that's encouraging. I know some Knicks fans weren't too enthusiastic about it, seeing that, he's not going to use that in game. But to me personally, I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, he's knocking down those mid-range jump shots, nothing but net. I'm not too concerned about him getting or taking a dribble to get into that jump shot. If he's able to knock that down, even on a catch and shoot basis, I think that's going to elevate his offensive game dramatically, because now you're going to have defenders that are going to have to stay on him and not allow him to get that mid-range shot, but still he can threaten defenses with his vertical jumping ability on alley-oops and things of that nature. So I think that's going to be a real interesting wrinkle if Tom Thibodeau allows him to be creative out there on the court just a little bit, not too crazy. Don't take the reins off too much and allow him to go out there and try to act like he's a perimeter scorer or anything of that nature. But if he's given the opportunity, like we saw last season when he did that same fake and was able to take a couple dribbles and throw down a dunk, I think if he's able to use that mid-range jump shot a lot more, then he's going to be able to get those 30 minutes per game with an increase in his stamina and conditioning. And I think that is going to be key in Mitchell Robinson's development out there. He needs to continue playing time, because we know he did miss a large portion of time dealing with that Jones fracture. And, you hope that the injury concerns are past him. And now you look at players like a Rudy Gobert. There's another player we can look at, and also Clint Capela, another big man who draws some comparisons to a Mitchell Robinson, similar style. So, Foxy, anything you want to mention about Capela and how his career trajectory can compare to what we've seen from Mitchell Robinson so far?
Yeah, we just mentioned it that him playing with a better cast of players gave him more opportunities. So when you see those inflated offensive numbers, it's because they had to drop off, and he was in a dunker spot and he was able to do that. And you can see here, folks, obviously you don't see on Mitch any 3-point shots, but you can see that by his fifth season, he's up in the 60s, Capela on his foul shots. But if you just look, Mitch is there. If he can hit, and it was funny on the last point that we've talked about in the past, that he may shoot, 52% from the foul line, or, say 50% from the foul line. But if he did a pick and pop and hit 50% from the foul line, we'd be ecstatic. So we may be harsh on him for the foul shots, but it also, like you said, it keeps him honest. So I think with, like we said, with Jalen there and Mitch and just others, that he's going to have a much bigger smile on his face, and I think his numbers are going to be comparable. I definitely think that with Jalen, and this is an extrapolation, but I think in the reality, if you think about his putbacks and everything else, I think Mitch could definitely have a double-double, average a double-double this year.
Yeah, I think that's definitely well within his reach, especially when you look at the squad and think rebounding, might not necessarily be our strong suit. So you would hope guys like Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle and even Obi Toppin can kind of, carry the torch in those statistical areas. Even RJ Barrett for a guard, if you want to call him that, is a solid rebounder. Another player that a lot of people compare Mitchell Robinson to would be Robert Williams. And I think this is probably the best comparison when you look at what these guys can do out there on the court, how they can be disruptive defensively. I talked with Jesco. He's a subscriber here on Sports Vibes TV. He's mentioned, Williams is a much better perimeter defender than Mitchell Robinson. But I think Mitchell Robinson at times is more disruptive than a Robert Williams, whether that be his length, that even though he doesn't get the block shots, he's still forcing players to adjust their shots, which causes lower percentage, shots being put up, or whether it's playing the passing lanes and getting, block shots at the rim. So, or even blocking jump shooters. We've seen Mitch do that occasionally, being able to get from the paint and block people that were going up for shots. He did it to KD, if I'm not mistaken. So, Foxy, what are some things you've seen in Robert Williams that you expect Mitch Robinson's to either match or better?
Like we said, he plays on a good team. We want to see better screens set by Mitch this year. Want him to set those screens a little better and on the roll, on pick and roll. And You can see again, and I hate repeating myself, but the numbers don't lie. It jumps off the screen that, it's an asterisk at 5 years because he's coming into his fifth year too, Williams, unlike Gobert and Capela, who's been in the league a few more years. Also, folks, if it's in green that you saw in his second year, that's in green means he led the league in that year in field goal percentage. That if we can just have Mitch shoot, in the 60s and stuff like that, it'll make it, make him and everybody else a lot better. Hey, folks, I just wanted to share this, and it's important for all of our players that we understand that last year the standard from shooting, so we know the gold standard's 50 40 90, 50% field goal percentage, 40 from three and 90 from the foul line. Last year the league average in field goal percentage was 46.1%. So that's, Mitch, obviously it's not an issue because everything's a dunk. But when we're talking today, so I want you to, for this in the season going forward, so when we see players at 39 and 40%, they're 6% less than the league average. So we want them we want them to be elite at the 50, 40, 90 club, but we also don't want them to be less than average. So they're 46.1% is the average from field goal percentage, 35.4% is 3-point. For non-corner, it's 39.2. If you're looking at the basket, left corner is 39.2. If you're looking at the right corner, it's 38.4. And foul total average, again, this is league average, is 77.5. So that's where all these players, you just signed a $60 million contract. We're not asking you to shoot 90%, but we'd like a 7. We're paying you, at least a 6, but if Robert Williams has a 7 there on his foul shooting, we're not asking a lot to say, hey, you just signed a big contract. We want you to put in that time because either that or you're not, hey, Mitch, you're not going to see closing time. Ihart's going to be the closer because he can hit foul shots at a higher rate than you and stretch the floor, and he's still a rim protector. So I hope some of that competition, behind him will make him, shoot 1,000 foul shots a day and bring up that foul total percentage to at least 70s.